'Tis I! Hey! This video is dedicated to ridding you of trolls, ranging from the one-off to the perennial bugger. So, to start with, you must know your enemy. Remember, every so often, due to good people like you, a shard of light gets through and these vampires see themselves as they truly are. Fuck being them. Trolls are actors, and they've got an insectoid-sized, tiny little brain. But every so often, a shard of light and truth gets through to garbage like that. Stay tuned. Even an insect has a mentality. I was 4.5 when I first asked the question, why is an idiot, which went on to being how and what makes an idiot an idiot. Took me decades, that. So one of the first idiots I ever met referred to somebody who was in a wheelchair as being a spastic. Right? You couldn't make that up. And I was so angry really at him because I knew this person and I really liked them in the wheelchair, you know. And so I said to him, "You're the fucking spastic." And his reaction was this. And he stayed like that for about 4 seconds. I don't know if that was 4 seconds, but the thing is, it took me a long time to realise that he knew himself that he had something wrong with himself, that he was disabled, but not physically, mentally. Now, the first idiot I met was when I was 4.5, but I was about 7 when I met that guy. And that's when the origin of me wanting to reclaim that word began. So I've now reclaimed the word spastic and I apply it solely to sociopaths. And the truth behind sociopathy, if you want to call it that, is it's self-made. Yeah? Choices you make from infancy show that there's an invisible law. Right? An invisible law which works on us all, whether you believe in it or not. For example, gravity. Gravity works on all of us, whether we believe in it or not. And if you don't believe in it, hell mend you. And so by this other invisible law I discovered, that I call the moral law of divinity, that billions of other people probably call karma. But I've never studied karma. I'm just going by what I've gathered. And so, in infancy, from infancy, this invisible law works on you. So if you choose to be evil, choose to be nasty, not nice, if you choose to be cruel to someone, disrespectful, and try to get kind of one-upmanship over people, over next to nothing, in a magical thinking, bird brain type of way, you arrest your development. Your brain, its grey matter, stops developing. And in its place, you develop white matter, which serves two purposes. One, to compartmentalise lying pathologically, and the other thing is to supply you with a rush of dopamine when you're being a cunt, or an arsehole, you choose. So, that's the origin of what ends up becoming a mental quadriplegic. Now think about that person who on some level knows at 7 that they're a mental quadriplegic, referring to somebody in a wheelchair as being a spastic. So I've reclaimed that phrase and I'm now applying it solely to sociopaths. So whenever a sociopath introduces themselves to you, right, no matter what they do toward you, they're essentially doing this. "I'm a fucking spastic, please." Now, Chris Rock disempowered the word nigger, right? He disempowered it by, well, loads of black guys in America disempowered it by introducing themselves using the word nigger, saying, "Yo, man, nigger." That's exactly how black people talk. And so that disempowered it to a certain extent. But Chris Rock went one further. He famously said on stage, "I love black people, but I hate niggers." You know, and so that's the equivalent of what they say in Scotland. They refer to somebody who Chris Rock was referring to in Scotland, or they would call them a Ned. In England, they would call them a chav. So, like I say, Chris Rock disempowered that, and I'm disempowering the word spastic to only mean sociopaths. I'm repeating myself, haven't I? Each time I thought a spastic, a sociopath, would improve, they simply continued on the road to perdition. They're a complete waste of time, period. And trolls, very early on, as I've just said, in life, realise they get pleasure from carrying out acts of evil. So I've picked up the jigsaw pieces over all those decades without a cover of the box to guide me. You know, I did this all myself from 4.5 till my early 40s, you know, and now I'm giving you the picture on the cover of the box to rid you of all the sociopaths you may have in your life, and especially the garbage you get online. So trolls are online, but they're also in person, the bold ones who calculate that they can get away with it. You know, they will then do that same magical thinking shite that works for them. However, what I realised was, when I tried to let a sociopath have it, you know, they would then point their finger at me and try and make out that I was a bad person, which, because I'm an empath, it sadly worked on me, that shite. You know, it worked on me, you know, even though I was only letting them have it, say, once out of every 100 attempts at getting their supply from that white matter development at the front of their otherwise dysfunctional brain. They've no real great development prefrontally with grey matter, which you need in order to have compassion. So void of compassion, their life is all about winning, which shows the emotional age they're arrested at, and the fact that they are not really human. Humans are all about compassion. Empathy is compassion, really. And void of compassion, in that void, winning! So you're unwittingly and unwillingly in a competition with an asshole. That's something you should know about. Furthermore, if you give them an fMRI brain scan, you realise they've actually got shite behind their eyes. Right? Any grey matter that's there is dysfunctional. As dysfunctional as if you drank a whole bottle of whiskey. Now, drinking a whole bottle of whiskey doesn't make you a psychopath, you know. Psychopathic, perhaps, but it's always a deliberate choice, you know. And that's the choice they've been making, trolls, sociopaths, since infancy. So, if you were to unscrew the top of their skull and take the front of their brain matter out, just leave that bit of white matter there, the compartmentalised dope provider, and replace what you took out with shite, there is literally no difference to their personality after that. They literally have shite for brains. The front of their brain, if you check it out on an fMRI brain scan, is dysfunctional. It doesn't work. They may as well have dog food in there, as I've said, or shite. They literally are shite for brains. Furthermore, they've got a solitary pathology that's ingrained and hardened down the centre of their noggin, where they tear along the dotted line to get this bloody supply from acts of evil towards you, cruelty, one-upmanship, blah, blah, blah. And eventually, they do have occasional lucid moments where they realise that they are a self-made arsehole, really. You know, with a length of rectum between themselves and the core of their brain, which is 2 wee tiny microdots they've got, yeah. And they've not developed beyond infancy. They don't have a adult capacity. They don't have any depth. So that's the kind of shite who tend to target on the internet, whom we call trolls. However, I'm giving a deeper insight into trolls and let you know that the vast majority of trolls are sociopaths, whose brains are as I've just described. Shite like that will always look for people whom they envy. So when they target you, it's kind of like a backhanded compliment, really. If you can see past their evil, their hatred, their cruelty, they're trying to hurt you or embarrass you or what have you. As always, with people like that, their envy always finds some excuse to convert the envy into hatred, because envy is ego dystonic, whereas hatred to the unself-aware garbage is ego syntonic. So they will always find any minutia, anything, to say that you deserve it. You deserve it. You had it coming. You brought it on yourself and you were asking for it. And you are what they are. That's the formula at the core of all sociopaths thinking. It's the closest they'll ever get to empathy. Trying to get you to feel like you are what they are. You are what I am. You are what I am. You're me. You're me. You're me. 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 That's their every waking fucking thought on the dark side of their brain. They're black and white thinkers. They've got a binary bird brain. On the black side of their head, that's it. Just me, 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 me. No matter what they're saying about you, it's all about them. And on the white side of the head, they might, well, feed their dogs and look after them reasonably well. But occasionally, if you were a fly in the wall, you would notice them do something rather untoward and cruel towards the dog at times, before defaulting to pretend they're actually a good person because they look after dogs. But again, with that footage as a fly on the wall, you would see that they're mainly dark. However, don't dwell on the dreadful, because that's what they're wanting you to do when they give you their shite online, or the bold ones in person who've calculated they can get away with it. Don't dwell, don't wallow. Shite like that. Hope that you carry that with you, because they carry all the slights they've ever experienced with them for life. And they have some occasional escape from that if they can get you to feel that you are what they are, you know. And by any means, they will try and bring you down to their level and then waddle off feeling that they're a winner now. Winning! However, with me at my age, they're barking up the wrong tree, as I genuinely couldn't care less what trolls in person or online think about anything. I genuinely couldn't care less. It's fucking impossible for me to care less, right? And you, if you've been targeted by trolls and you're having any adverse effects, you need to get to the stage where, even as a great empath, you must not give a fuck about people like that who trigger your gut instinct, right? And might make you even worry about being a bad person for thinking that they're fucking disgusting scumbags, right? So, if you forgive me, at my age, I genuinely couldn't care less about disgusting scumbags. However, if they do influence you to get angry towards them, they'll again pretend you've magically traded places, right? They're magical thinkers, you know. Again, you've become what I am. So every energy vampire out there needs to find an empath who instead seeks approval from a bone ball full of shit. Right? Think about that. Are you that person? If so, move on. But hang on. I would rather say let go. Because if you let go, you automatically move on. It's far easier to fucking do. So, if we go back to primary school, we should be teaching kids about the bloody mind, the thing that they're actually being taught, right? The thing they're teaching is the mind, but they teach fuck all about it. They don't give you fMRI brain scans and tell you about karma and say, look, if you don't fucking develop this here and here and here, you end up a fucking spastic, right? And you only have yourself to blame for having self-spasticated. You become a mental quadriplegic. The wind changes and you fucking stay that way, which is a brilliant testament to an invisible law for us all to believe it exists. When you can look at the fMRI brain scans of people who arrested themselves in infancy due to their addiction to evil and their rejection of things like remorse, they become arrested and hardened that way for life. I'm not saying they can't overcome that. The brain is all a plastic. You can genuinely overcome even that kind of hardened pathology. The dotted line, they tear along. But what I'm saying is the vast majority of them, almost all of them, never will. So you're wasting your time on shite like that. But what if the ruling wolves don't want the chickens to know this shit? He's a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And I'm not a coincidence theorist. Yeah, but if I see any type of conspiracy, I think to myself, oh, that's a conspiracy, that. And I don't have any qualms about saying it. I'm not worried that somebody will say to me, that makes you what I am. A fucking idiot. I've noticed, especially online, trolls are so stupid, they'll try the exact same attack again and again, even if it didn't work in the first place. You know, they are gits, right? Guessing is their speciality. They're a bunch of wee gits. Maybe should have done it with those fingers, you know. But yeah, guessing is their speciality. They guess again and fucking again and again and again, trying to get that negative emotional reaction from you. I'll simplify that, right? Negative emotional reaction validating egomaniacs shite. They're trying to get on your nerves, right? Because most energy vampires know that if they can trigger your fight or flight mechanism, if you stay put, neither fleeing nor fighting, you're suppressing that fight or flight mechanism with the nerves in your prefrontal cortex. And if you do that without taking in big, deep breaths, you break down those nerves at the front of your brain. You have a nervous breakdown. They're genuinely trying to get on your nerves, right? They're looking for a negative emotional reaction validating egomaniacs shite, right? That's what they are to a T. They're an arsehole, and all they produce mainly is shite. However, hatred is a pastime for the stupid, and anger is something you should channel constructively and productively. So if you do have any kind of reaction with that crap, go with it, channel it, you know, do something artistic with it, charitable, whatever it might be. Again, it gets like that. Guessing is their speciality. They're actually playing a game called Battleships. And in Battleships, you guess again and again and again until you strike something. Boom, you hit one of the parts of the battleship. Yeah, and that's what they're aiming for, especially online. And if you give them chance after chance, if you react in any way, shape or form to let them know they're getting through to you, right? The gits will guess again and again to win that game of battleships. They want to trade places with you. They want to become you. They can't, but they want to shed essentially what is a dreadful, hypersensitive hypocrisy. They are an egomaniac, arrested in infancy as a spoiled brat. What they actually want you to feel is like killing them. Now, I'm not saying to kill them. No. If you watch this whole video, you'll realise I'm not saying be violent towards them or what have you. But they're genuinely, as close as they'll ever get to empathy, is trying to get you to choose to feel like killing them. Because that's the way these bastards feel when they're slighted even slightly in the course of their life. Then shite like that will always then go looking for somebody else to try and make them feel as bad as they feel, so they can then waddle off, winning, having magically traded places with you. Yeah, they're magical thinkers. Yeah, they fail the reality test and they're always heading for another bloody fall. They never learn. Moreover, the longer a troll contacts you for, the more clear it becomes to you that their brain is minutia, really, at its core. And so, shite like that though, if they see you reacting in any way, shape or form to their minutia, they can actually think to themselves, okay, well, because this person's reacting like this to me, I'm going to try and actually do even less and less and less to see what kind of reaction I can get from less and less and less. And they'll then even send you cryptic crap so that you can't go to the police and say, look, here's evidence, this cunt or this arsehole, is sending me hate shit on the internet, So if it's cryptic, then you can't present it to a policeman and say, or a policewoman, and say, look, this is definitely hate that I'm getting from this arsehole that's been targeting me again and again and again and again. Yeah? So, if you then waste time trying to decrypt what that arsehole is conveying to you, trying to get across, trying to trade places with you through, they imagine themselves to become an even grandioser, if that's a word, even greater arsehole. But to themselves, they see that as being a supreme being, even a god, And all they have to do is send you a microdot. And because it's from them and you want fuck all to do with them and they know it, that microdot will have this huge reaction, which they pride themselves on. And what does pride come before? A fall. So, shit like that, every single time they declare themselves winning, the next thing that happens to them is they suffer a fall. Because most people don't realise this. I realised this when I was a kid, that pride is a sin. It's a mistake. It even says in ancient texts that pride genuinely is a sin, So I've neither really been up nor down when it comes to things that other people would, extract pride from. I've just never gone in that direction. As I've said, neither up nor down. So I've attracted countless trolls over the years, and I've just used them to study what makes an idiot an idiot? How is an idiot an idiot? What makes an idiot an idiot? Yeah? Why? How? What? Yeah? Since I was 4.5. So whenever I've been targeted by a troll, it's just I've used them so I could get to the bottom of that and then convey it to you. And all there is to know about them is, I'm a fucking spastic, please. That's it. So any accomplishment you have, if it's online especially, or in the press or what have you, it attracts what Eddie Murphy once called high-functioning retards. Yeah? They want to bask in your glow, see if they can get into your life, maybe even try and drag you down to their level where they can beat with experience at being an arsehole, which they hope comes as a great surprise to you, and then they can waddle off saying what? Winning! However, learning from evil people like that makes you a better person. So, don't let them get on your nerves. Take a deep breath, distance yourself one way or the other, and get to the stage where you couldn't care less. What will happen though is, even when you get to that stage, as an empath it's tough to get to that stage, tougher than most. Yeah. So once you get to that stage, they will still come. The vampires will still try and track you down and see if their magic works. Yeah. However, as I've said before, it's a backhanded compliment. So, several trolls have obsessed over my work, my life, my accomplishments. And by comparison, well, there is no fucking comparison. Their brain's minutia. So the best thing they can accomplish, really, by comparison, seems minute, incomparable. Yeah? But if you despise garbage like that, as I've said earlier, they know that even sending you a microdot is enough to make you go, boom. And to them, that means then whatever you've accomplished pales by comparison to their microdot. So get to the stage where you have no reaction to shit who are fucking incomparable to every single thing there is about you. Yeah? They are no competition, but they are in competition with you. And you have to get to that stage where eventually they realise they're onto buttons. Yeah? And those buttons are suspiciously stained, which they hammer on with their extra thumbs on each paw from their mummies' bedrooms. Moreover, since trolls are all exactly the fucking same, remember this, you might be reacting to a completely different troll from the troll that's been getting on your tits. So you can have a double whammy there. You can have several different trolls all contact you because they're all the fucking same. You might genuinely still think it's just one asshole when you've been targeted by loads of arseholes. Yeah, and again, you need to get to the stage where you're non-reactionary to shite like that. You distance yourself from that and carry on with your great accomplishments, which they can never compare to. But if you do have any of these reactions, what do they think? Winning! In the aftermath of shite like that, if you do have any negative emotional reaction validating egomaniac's shite, use a thing called mindfulness technique. I'll say it again, mindfulness technique. You can get it on any free video channel and you'll find one that works for you. Again, it's about taking deep breaths, putting the troll, whether you've met them in person or online or whatever, put them in a cloud and watch them just fucking sail away with your eyes closed, imagining that. Take a deep breath, put them in the fucking cloud and watch the cloud sail away. And just keep fucking doing that until there's no more clouds. Or clowns. What's he got against clowns? Oh, a great video for you to watch. Another one is a song called Black Hole Sun by a band called Soundgarden. If you watch the video for Black Hole Sun, it epitomises what I'm on about. It epitomises what these creatures truly are. When you see the faces morph into the kind of faces that only somebody without true self-awareness, without a fully functioning prefrontal brain function, these kind of faces that they pull, which make you realise that they're kind of bird-brained, you know, and nasty. They're no nice, you know, and being nice is the nicest thing you can possibly be. However, what I gathered was online, where I was being contacted by these imbeciles, they essentially wanted me to know this. I'm having the exact same thought again, please. Right? I thought, this is impossible. No, I'm having the exact same thought again, please. Really? aha, I'm having the exact same thought again, please. I thought it was impossible till eventually, I'd studied lots of what these imbeciles come out with. It was all the same bloody thing. So on the black side of the black and white thinking binary bird brain. Oops, that wasn't much of a rift. So, I thought, it's impossible. So I studied again and again and again. When I analysed or decrypted what they're coming out with, I realised it's the exact same thought. They're unself-aware and consumed with hatred. And even when I conveyed that to them, that I knew this about them, they would still contact me. I'm still an arsehole having the exact same thought, please. And that goes on ad infinitum, ad nauseum, until you stop reacting to them. Stop having a negative emotional reaction, validating egomaniacs shite. So surprisingly, at the rotten core, the thing that surprised me was, because they're a megalomaniac or a narcissist, megalomaniacs don't develop beyond 3 at their core. Narcissists don't develop beyond 5, usually. And again, if they're slighted even slightly, the reaction is they want to fucking kill you, right? So, or they envy you. They want to kill you. And so, that's supposed to be a backhanded compliment, nonetheless, they want you to choose to feel, right? Remember what I've said about choosing to feel. Get to the stage where you couldn't care less. Instead, what they want you to do is care so much and get so angry, you want to choose to feel like shooting them through the face. Now, of course, I'm against shooting anybody through the face. However, that's exactly what they want you to choose to feel like. It took me quite a long time to work that out. And so eventually when I realised at the core that was there again and again and again, every single time, that's when I came up with the name unitard. Eddie Murphy calls them high-functioning retard, but the worst of them that I met, well, or at least online, was a unitard. I christened them that. Did a video called Erol on unitards about it. Might watch that one day. However, I was targeted by the very lowest type of shite like that, till I eventually came up with a new name and christened them monotards. So don't magic away all your great accomplishments, which their minutia wants to draw your attention towards instead. Their crap. Yeah? Genuinely understand their crap, their attention, as being a backhanded compliment, even if it's in 2D, even if it's a meme, no matter what it is, especially ignore it if it's cryptic. Don't waste your time trying to work out, alright, they're having the exact same thought again. I want you to choose to feel like shooting me through the face. Yeah? I want you to choose to feel like providing me with brutal, merciless physical consequence. Because that's what they'd like to do to you. But even the lowest of the low always know right from wrong. And even the daftest of them tend to not want to go to prison for a long time. So you're lucky, you're laughing. Moreover, the worst of them, the stalker, they see themselves as being a chess player, right? And they want to be many moves ahead of you, right? So they think to themselves, I'll say this, I'll type this with my extra thumbs, and then they'll think that. And then because of that, I'll think this, and I'll put that in before that, so that when they then think that, they'll have this negative emotional reaction validating this egomaniac shite, and then I'll do this, and then that, and then that. Winning! Got me? Got it? So don't take their bait, no matter how many times that one, or those exactly like them, try you with it. Remember, their gifts. Guessing is their speciality. However, what I also noticed was, when I do things that are absolutely fuck all to do with trolls, they, unsurprisingly, personalise that and then want what I call pretend revenge. So they crave your overreaction, right? When the key, right, is indifference. Your indifference crucifies them, fucking tortures them. Remember, though, behind all that, they're an evil bastard. And when they point their finger at you, trying to pretend it makes you a bad person for maybe getting angry at them, or whatever. Yeah? Behind them, the unself-aware bastard has overflowing volcanoes of evil they've committed, going all the way back to the day dot. So shite like that, daring to point their finger at you with these three crooked talons pointing back at themselves and all their disowned evil. Get that into your head and realise a lot of trolls are actually that bad a person. So give them none of the time of day, your precious time. However, if you decide to not take my advice and you are angry, don't hold back. If it's, especially if it's fucking online, let them have it, but keep it within the law, right? Otherwise, shite like that can take you to court. Think about that. They could persecute you to that extent, yeah? So my advice again is to be indifferent. It fucking tortures them. Give them nothing, as they say in Scotland. Just in case you do want to give them a go, say to them they're ugly and genuinely talentless. That tends to work on them. Made myself laugh there. Nothing burns like the awful truth. Saint Bram Stoker wrote a book. He originally was going to call The Undead, and then at the last minute called it Dracula. He profiled trolls to the nth degree using that book as his cover, yeah? And so, if you want to truly understand what a troll is, read Dracula, yeah? And remember, Dracula only wants people around him who can't see him, yeah? As he refuses to see himself in the fucking mirror, you know? And so he can only stand people around him who don't yet know how low a form of life Dracula truly is. So these hypocrites want you to see things from their point of view. That's such hypocrisy. My goodness. Yeah. You to see from their point of view so they can magically trade places with you. Yeah. Again, kind of a backhanded compliment, isn't it? However, don't forget these sociopaths are self-obsessed, rotten to the core, and garbage like that can even rise to the top, even into positions of authority. Again, because they're bird-brained. If you look at birds, when they're resting on the top of a roof nearby, they try to get one up on each other till one's sitting on top of a television aerial. Remember them? And it's the same with monkeys. Monkeys, the top banana is at the top of the tree and the other ones are lower and lower down and you get the ones on the very bottom. Yeah, that's bird-brained. And these imbeciles in all walks of life where I've discovered them in person as well, they're obsessed with one-upmanship. For example, if you make a mistake of any kind whatsoever at all, they can laugh at you, shout at you, and whatever they do, they then waddle off. Winning! Again, don't let that get to you. They're losers, and that's the pattern of the behaviour they will repeat till the day they bloody die. Looking back, you can see the volcanoes, yeah, I mentioned, yeah, more lava will flow. So just keep a safe distance from shit like that and don't react, even if they, get to you, because you might want to say to them, how dare you shout at me? How dare you say that to me? How dare you point your finger at me? If that's how you sound when you're talking. Just let it go. And then what happens? You automatically move on. Leave them to it. Again, they can often see you and your accomplishments as being a high source of narcissistic supply from their white matter, void of the grey you need to have compassion, ergo the meaning of life to your life. Without that, remember, it's all about winning. And because they're an egomaniac, they very often think that they should be with someone as great as you or me. And basically, when they gravitate towards you, eventually they'll start to see these things I mentioned earlier, things they envy, and so they'll find the excuse to hate you and want to drag you down to their level. And so, again, as Eddie Murphy said, they're high-functioning retards. Launch the bastard. Launch the fucking cunt. Launch the bastard. Launch them. Yeah? Don't feel bad about that. Another thing that took me a long time to realise was trust your gut instinct. Yeah? Trust it. Don't feel bad. If you meet someone you think to yourself, I'm quite disgusted by that person. That doesn't make you a bad person. It's your gut instinct telling you, get them to fuck. That's how your gut sounds when it's talking. So everything a troll does is idiotic, and the best way to sum them up is one phrase. They're an absolute fucking idiot. Who knew? In other videos I'll be doing, I'll talk about how if you have trolls in your life, right, sociopaths, who gravitate towards greatness, yeah, they will commit many, many acts trying to bring you down, but they're so superficial, they're so tiny-minded that you might not even detect, you might think to yourself, that's really quite infantile, it doesn't really work on me, because of the wee tiny superficial brain. And so you might let them get away with 99 things. Then on the 100th thing they come out with, you let them have it. And that's where I used to struggle, because they would then try and make out that made me a bad person for letting them have it. Even though they know they've tried 100 ways of trying to bring me down. Yeah? Now let shite like that visit me again and again for fucking years. However, so don't you put up with garbage like that for one more day. Launch the bastard. Launch the fucking cunt. Or cunts. Or arseholes. I noticed another, what can we call it, technique of certain trolls who target you again and again, especially when you've accomplished something great. They want to be the first to try and bring you down, and they travel at what they magically call stealth. So they'll be the first high-functioning retard that approaches you when you come off stage, or when you've just launched something great like a novel or what have you, or even something even more beautiful, like having a child or whatever. Nothing will stop them in their attempt to win at battleships. So, despite their stealth, fuck them, right? Don't react. Remember, what you've just accomplished is what drew that speed of repetition before your vision. Again. Get to the stage where, as I've said before a few times, get to the stage where you couldn't possibly care less, no matter what speed a troll believes they're acting at, So they're all the exact same, and one brilliant thing I call the SOS, the simple, obvious solution, which should start, as I've said before, at primary concentration campus, some people call it at school. fMRI brain scans. That's a simple, obvious solution. you can actually see whether the brain's developing or not. And if it's not, we can see the invisible law people call karma, the moral law of divinity, we can see it actually working on the brain they're given enough time to feel remorse, to grow, yeah? But they choose again and again to project their blame, to refuse to blame themselves for their evil acts that they get a reward from, egocentrically or neurochemically, from that white bloody matter they develop instead of grey. So you can actually see it, even the fMRI brain scans of children. So you can say to them, oh no, for fuck's sake, you need to learn something so your brain develops. Yeah? Surely that's what school should be about, developing the bloody brain. But as I said earlier, they teach you fuck all about the brain, even though that's what they're teaching. Yeah? So, again, that's a simple, obvious solution. And if we were to put every single motherfucker, no matter what age they are, right now, through an fMRI brain scan, we can then see who the fuck shouldn't be in positions of authority. Again, they don't want you to know this. Yeah? But of course that makes me a coincidence theorist. Is it a conspiracy theorist? Or somebody who just reflects reality that Dracula doesn't want to see, or for you to bloody well see. Of course, there's ones who are even worse. Sex offenders who actually go out more boldly rather than in 2D, and they seek to commit crimes which they get off on, which a lot of people don't realise. When they're committing these crimes, these sex offenders get off on it neurochemically, as I've said earlier, without touching their genitals. They don't even need to touch their genitals to ejaculate. It's an experience they have in what's known as the ventral tegmental reward centre, yeah, which is their everything. Void, again, of frontal lobes that would give them compassion, morality to guide them with the invisible law. In its place, their life is about, as I've mentioned, bird-brained competition, one-upmanship, and also an addiction to the damned rush they get along that dotted line, that hardened pathology, when they abuse someone. So they're all the bloody same, from the top to the bloody bottom, yeah? And, like I say, it's a surprising one when you discover that, that they can get off, on raping somebody, not because they're using their genitals. They can get it from smashing someone's skull in with a bloody hammer without putting their penis inside them. Yeah? They get off on it. And so these bastards hide in plain view and they're everywhere. But if we use the SOS, the simple obvious solution, we could fMRI brain scan such people and rid ourselves of them, stop them from getting into any kind of position of authority, or where they're going about unchecked, unaccompanied even. Yeah, they should have minders that go around with them bloody everywhere. Yeah? To stop them from this fucking evil that starts in infancy, where they're arrested in their emotional development, in their prefrontal development. You're essentially replying to a 3 to 5-year-old if you reply to trolls on the internet or anywhere or in any way, shape or form. You're actually lowering yourself to infancy, really, with them. Just leave them. They're magical thinking losers. If you don't, then you leave yourself open to witnessing them winning imaginary competitions, only therein make the rules up of as they go along, declare themselves the winner, and still lose. Which is why they come back again and again and again, as I mentioned earlier, fall after fall after fall. They never learn. I'll give you an example of one that I had the misfortune of being targeted by in person. I was walking up a hill, a really, really, really big hill in Scotland, called Tinto Hill. And when I was on my way back down, I was wearing kind of loose trainer shoes, and I stepped in some mud, and one of my trainers got caught in the mud, and so I came out of it. Then when I turned, I saw this female, and this is what she did. Like her finger was a machine gun, you know. And so I was completely non-reactionary, so she just stormed off down the hillside with this wee crazy dog that had tried to bite me earlier. Lucky me. And so I thought to myself, I could follow her, just grab her and say to her, "You've not developed beyond infancy, you ugly wee bastard, you know. You and your crazy fucking mutt, yeah? You're wearing a bright pink jumpsuit like you would get on a fucking 1-year-old. And that's essentially what you are. You've not developed beyond infancy. And you're consumed with fucking hatred. And so you want to magically trade places with me so I feel your anger. And so you want me to choose to feel how it feels to be you. And then you're magically trading places with me, leaving me with your anger because you want me to choose to feel like shoot me through the face." Again, they genuinely are so egomaniacal that if you slight them slightly, they want to kill you. They want to shoot you through the face. They want to provide you with brutal, merciless physical consequence. That's what they know they're acting out towards you. That's the kind of consequence for their actions that they know they deserve. And so whether it's somebody pointing their finger and trying to give you a hard time about, you know, stepping out of your trainer temporarily, or take that to another fucking level of attempted cruelty, yeah, one-upmanship, yeah, you can see just how fucking evil people like that truly are. And that's all you need to see, that's all you need to know, and that's all you need to distance yourself from people like that who trigger your gut instinct and who try and leave you with their shit. Shit they can never escape, because that's never going to get any better. That person's never going to improve, accept blame. They're just always going to project it and foolishly, magically think they can trade places with somebody who's completely innocent. Who knew? Yeah, so adults shouldn't play with children, really. You know what I mean? Unless you're their parents and you're, you know, being a parent. What I also noticed was these bastards will look for empaths who don't yet know that no one is the arbiter of reality, you know. You know, a mirror reflects you exactly as you are every single time you look in it. You know, I try and be a talking mirror with no opinions, just a permanently open mind. You know, 2 and 2 is 4, it's got fuck all to do with me. I just have this permanently open mind that believes 2 and 2 is 4. It's not my opinion, it's just my reflection of reality. But, as I've said, these trolls look for people who innocently trust that these people believe, these trolls believe what they're actually saying, and ideally that they're the arbiter of reality. When of course, all they have is an opinion, and very often they don't actually believe what they're saying. It's not an opinion they hold. And don't forget, most critics are arseholes. So I no longer call people like that psychopaths. I've updated that. Basically, everybody knows right from wrong, right? Everybody. And so you can only classify their behaviour as being psychopathic rather than them being sociopaths. Psychopaths. They're actually sociopaths, yeah? And they choose to be psychopathic, yeah? And so, for example, a serial killer will go out, murder a woman, which you would then say, oh, that makes him a psychopath. However, on his way home, he stops in at a fish and chip shop and gets 6 fish suppers, goes home, sits down with his wife and his 4 kids, and spreads the dinner there for them. and they all have a great time laughing and eating their dinner. Is that psychopathic? No, that's somebody being a father. So, how can a psychopath stop being a psychopath if they're a psychopath? The answer is they're a sociopath who chooses to be psychopathic. And if they're psychopathic all the bloody time, you could say, well, they're kind of like a psychopath, you know. But I would still say it's a deliberate fucking choice. Yeah? And even the most, you know, limited person always knows right from wrong and chooses it for the reasons I've already gone over. Although I would say some narcissists are partly made. However, all sociopaths are narcissists. Avoid like the plague. So when a troll's coming at you, remember they've got a pea-sized brain. So what they are is a pea shooter. Tell them to pee off. Very often trolls in person or online can get by empaths' awareness because we can't see that far fucking down to start with. Yeah, and basically we can't believe anyone can be that fucking stupid and dishonest to not actually believe what they're saying. You know, they're just trying to hurt you, bring you down, anger you, trade places with you, you know? Which they mistake as controlling your perception of reality. They're obsessed with that sociopath. They're pathological liars, remember. Obsessed with compartmentalising these different people who they hope never fucking meet up and share their lies, and contrast and compare these different fucking lies and realise this bloody vampire they have in their life is full of shit and needs to be fucking launched. So any reaction other than recognising they're trying to get you to choose to feel like shooting them through the face, as hard as that is to believe, you know, they mistake that for them controlling your perception of reality. Get rid of all shite like that from your life, whether it's just one troll online, a so-called friend in person, or what have you. Have you noticed when a fly tries to land on you and you try and swat it away, yeah, give it a couple of seconds, it comes back again. Right? That's how small their fucking brains are. And that's what trolls do again and again and again. They are insectoid. Yeah? So if you're really, really unlucky, you've got a monotard on your hands. If you're a little bit luckier, you've got a unitard, you know. A little bit luckier, a high-functioning retard. Yeah? But they're all mental quadriplegics who self-spasticated since infancy onwards. All a deliberate choice throughout time. Who knew? So fuck them. You know, everything about them, including their return attempts looking for pretend. Yeah? Fuck them. Do your best to ignore, and whatever you do, as I've mentioned earlier, don't sit and recall their shit, especially when you're alone. Don't dwell, don't wallow. Use mindfulness technique, as I've said. Get them to fuck. I also noticed that some of the most kind of stalking trolls, they will have what they call a calling card, right? So that you know it's that specific troll. The thing is, it could be any troll, you know, and any troll that thinks of using a calling card to let you know, oh, it's that specific troll. They want you to favour that specific arsehole. Grossly unself-aware, aren't they? And the most magical thinking, evil type of troll thinks that it's sowing seeds in your brain. Seeds. Planting seeds so that when it fucks off, exits stage left, that basically you will sit, as I've said, wallow, dwell and recall what you need to let go of, using mindfulness technique if you have to. Yeah? So they haven't planted any seeds. There's a magical thinking idiot. Absolute fucking idiot. And what epitomises their fundamental lack of self-awareness is they're contacting someone who truly wants absolutely fuck all to do with them. Yeah? Think how fucking embarrassing that is, and how ashamed you should be of yourself if you're contacting somebody who wants fuck all to do with you, but all they can think about is their hatred, want to trade places with you. Yeah? Yeah? Transference, they call it. Projection. And what they're ideally looking for is what's called projective identification, where you will then go, oh no, see me as being a good person, please, or whatever, or to contradict whatever bullshit they're saying about you. No, please, listen to the truth. You know, that's their wet dream, if you fall for projective identification. Yeah? So just bear that in mind, that they should be ashamed of themselves and fucking embarrassed to their core, but they've got no self-awareness. Without grey matter there, they can't see themselves from another person's point of view, and most of them are ice cold inside. Yeah? They've no feelings at all in their body. Again, they are void of compassion, psychologically, physically, in all the ways where we are compassionate. We actually, we feel, exactly like that. If somebody hurts themselves, for example, and, we have compassion, which is the meaning of life, as I've said, but they're void of that empathy. And so, to them, life is just about winning competitions. Only therein, make the rules up as they go along, break those rules, declare themselves the winner, and still fucking lose. Winning! So the unself-aware insect desperately wants, if you look at its core, the attention of mummy or daddy. So that's who you actually are to them. They need you. It's backhanded compliment after backhanded compliment, isn't it? But I've thunked up another thing. I've guessed of another thing. Guessing is my speciality. This gets thunked up another thing. So you must give me your attention, even in 2D, and you must have a negative emotional reaction, validating egomaniacs shite, please. I'm a fucking spastic, please. Must you? When shite like that tries to, in some way, shape or form, get into your life to get reaction from you, must you have the reaction that garbage is looking for? Or will you get to the stage, as I've said repeatedly, where you couldn't possibly care less, and you shouldn't care for shit like that, But empaths take a long time to get to that stage, until which shit like that will be coming up to you and wanting your attention for the obvious. Incidentally, there's a really well-known selling website I used a million years ago, once and never again. And I was targeted by a prick who wanted to do me a bad turn. And so I foiled him. And I didn't realise he was a megalomaniac who would then contact me every single day with different guesses, hoping for my attention and reaction to these guesses, And so he then got other gits to contact me as well. He even built a website dedicated to me, which I didn't even bother Mars going to look at, which drove this asshole even further up the wall. And so, but he contacted me again and again, and either pretended to be another person, or it was his sister, who also targeted me and wanted to buy things, and then when they were sent, pretend that they hadn't got them, then complain and get their money back, whilst having the thing I sent them. But the thing was, it was just things that cost like £1 or £2, And in the end, they bought 2 things, one of which they pretended they didn't get, so they got their £2 back or whatever it was. I think it had cost me £1, but the other thing cost £2. So I'd made £1. But in the end, when the asshole incorrectly worked that out, they thought they'd made £1. And so they sent me because I wasn't reading their emails anymore, they sent me just a title where they put Kerching. Kerching! So I then sent them an email saying exactly what I've just said, and my response to them is Kerking! Winning! So I don't go on sites like that anymore, because you do get a lot of arseholes saying, "You sent me something with a scratch on it, even though it explains that in the description that I read." Do you know, I was actually 40 before I realised that sociopaths don't believe what they're saying. That was a fucking revelation to me, because I love veracity. Always loved the truth. I always have had this open mind, void of opinion, just open to the truth, you know? And then, so when assholes came into my life, I couldn't fucking believe that they didn't believe what they were saying to me. They were just trying to hurt my feelings, trying to bring me down, you know, try and get pretend against me, you know, looking for anything, as I mentioned earlier, anything that they could hate me for, pseudo-legitimately, and still want to be in my life again and again and again, till in my mid-20s I launched a lot of them, which I'll cover in a future video called Erol on Friends with a silent R. Basically, haters gonna hate, yeah? There's nothing you can do about it, so just distance yourself from shite like that. Oh, aye, again, if you actually look exactly at the brain of these bastards, you realise, without any exaggeration, they're actually a lizard sitting on top of a chicken. Yeah? You know, just like we have a lizard's jawbone in our ears that helps us to hear, believe it or not. At the core of the brain is the amygdala, which is called the lizard brain. And that sits on top of the brainstem, which is your bird brain. Yeah? And they haven't developed the front of their brain, so they're genuinely a lizard sitting on top of a chicken contacting you. You're giving your attention, your phenomenal supreme being, you're wasting your fucking time on a lizard sitting on top of a chicken. So distance yourself from the emotionally incontinent, especially in person. You know, what I also noticed was they're obsessed with saying the exact opposite of reality. Yeah? False accusation after false accusation. Yeah? From someone whom you should see as being utterly insignificant. So, no matter what you say, especially online, give it 5 minutes and "I want to play battleships with you again, please." What I've also noticed was, online, on certain websites, if somebody types your name, you can get a notification that somebody's typed your name somewhere. Again, wanting your attention to go and look at whatever the latest hate guess is about you, you know. And they can attract others who will also maybe type your name and try and get your attention, but I don't bother my arse, you know. And so they might then seek you out in person and tell you, "Look, there's a post over here about you, and all these people are saying these things about you, go and read." Fuck them, you know. I genuinely couldn't care less. You could just say to them, "Who? What? Blah, blah, blah." You know? And that's it. You know, but anything more than that, don't. So they're all a bunch of junky wankers, whether they're typing in their mum's bedroom or they're smashing someone's skull in with a fucking hammer. They're all the exact same. You need to rid yourself of anything even remotely like that from your life, especially in 2D, or even more, especially in person. Yeah, the bold ones are out there, you know. I've met loads of them. Sick to death of backhanded compliments. So even today, I met an asshole who thought he was winning something against me. And so I just said to him, "You're barking up the wrong tree. But give it 5 minutes and I've thunked up something else, please, with my guessing brain. My microscopic guessing brain, please." So I just walked away, and that was it. And, you know, this is the closest that I will get to any kind of reaction. There is none, really. I'm just remembering something that I let go. So practice having no reaction, especially in person, when the bold ones who calculate there'll be no consequence for their actions imbecilically, again. You know, practice having no reaction to them. Because basically when they start their shite, they expect it. They expect your reaction because they get it from so many other people, but they hate the ones there's no reaction from, or doubly hate you, you know. And I've done it in the past, and the look on their face goes from to they can't believe it, especially if they pre-believe they're on to a winner. So you really don't want to become angry and hateful like those perma-raging nitwits, you know. So just watch this video as often as it takes until you're free. But I'm a fucking spastic, please. Winning. I always try and end these videos leaving a good taste in the mouth of the viewer, which I can't do if they're an arsehole.